Welcome to the Deficient Vegans podcast. This is episode 56. I'm the muscle deficient vegan here with the protein deficient vegan. Do you want to say hi?
Hello.
Hello. We'll be talking about finding community as a vegan. But first up, new news.
New news.
First piece of news we have is that a new report from ProVeg International and Planetary Alliance found that UK supermarkets have basically figured out plant-based distribution, but still aren't selling enough plant-based products.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Some of this is due to the stores lacking the supporting infrastructure like signposting, shopper communication, meal inspiration, like how to use these ingredients, and category navigation. Category navigation is definitely one I've noticed in U.S. supermarkets for plant-based things. Like the signs are kind of inconsistent. Sometimes it'll say vegan, sometimes it's non-dairy, sometimes it's plant-based. And then even when you go to those sections, it'll kind of be like half plant-based stuff and half normal stuff.
Yeah.
So I've definitely seen that over here. I imagine there's some of the same issues over there.
Yeah, in the U.S., they'll put tofu like next to the lettuce, which is kind of confusing.
Right. Or the wheat gluten next to the flour.
Yeah. Putting some of the main protein sources of a vegan diet, TVP and Vital Wheat Gluten, next to like gluten-free flour alternatives is truly bizarre. And I feel like unless you know, you would have no idea like what those would be used for.
Where do you think it should go? How do you think they should organize it?
I kind of feel like they just need a plant-based section and then they just split up by like plant-based like meat.
Yeah.
Or like maybe not plant-based meat, plant-based proteins maybe.
Plant protein section or something.
Yeah, and have like the shelf-stable ones and then maybe you have like a little fridge section.
Yeah, that would make sense to me. It'd be way easier. Just go in and be like, oh, here's my tofu, here's my wheat gluten, here's all my TVPs, stuff like that, all in one spot because it's all protein.
And I think, for me, if the stores are shelving it, surely they want to sell it. So maybe they should even have like QR codes where you can like scan and find a recipe for something like TVP or Vital Wheat Gluten, since they're kind of odd ingredients that most people don't know. Yeah, uncommon.
For sure. I think that'd be helpful. So, I think the stores basically need to help shoppers find the new products and also understand how to use them so they'll come back and buy them again and be able to find them in the store.
Yeah, I've had many people who are vegan ask me, like, where do I find silken tofu at my grocery store? Where do I find TVP? You can find TVP at the grocery store. Where would that be? Where's nutritional yeast?
Yeah.
And I'm like having to help like navigate where I assume it is in the grocery store because that's where it's been in all the other ones I've been in. But
even if I have to go to a grocery store that's not like one of the normal ones I go to around here, I basically have to look in the app, like, where is this? Maybe go look in the flour. Is it near the flour? I don't know.
It just feels like at this point there should be a vegan aisle, like plant-based, shelf basics or something.
Yeah. Yeah, they really only need like one small refrigerator section for some of the tofus and milks maybe. And
like kind of how they have like a pet section and then they'll have like a smaller refrigerator for like pet food that's cold.
The pet food gets a more dedicated section than we do.
So if you're a grocery store listening and you want help organizing your grocery store, I have ideas.
Yeah, there you go. Reach out. The next piece of news we have is Polmoone. I believe that's how you say it.
Best guess I would have.
Cool. Anyway, it's the brand that owns tofu brands like Nasoya and Wildwood. But they've recorded 17% year-on-year growth in tofu sales.
That's pretty exciting.
That's pretty good.
Those are like, I'd say the top brands I buy. Sometimes I'll buy like the store brand tofu, but like the Wildwood super firm high protein tofu is like one of my go-tos because it's already pressed.
Yeah.
The article was saying that tofu sales across the U.S. hadn't like increased by that much. Like this is kind of an outlying product.
Yeah.
But yeah, kind of interesting.
It is interesting. It might be partially attributed to 79% of Americans finding ultra-processed foods a significant threat to public health.
They should stop eating them.
Yeah. 57% of Americans say that they plan to prioritize protein this year. So that's interesting. I think there's a lot of talk around protein in general with like the GLP-1 drugs and stuff like that going on. A lot of these people are also looking for higher fiber options, and tofu is minimally processed, high in protein, and high in fiber. So triple threat.
Yeah. Eat more tofu. You didn't hear it here first.
All right. The last piece of news we have is that a new study by Leaps by Bayer, which is a Boston consulting group, and Ipsos UK dives into public optimism and caution around breakthrough science.
Yeah, this was really interesting. It covered a lot of things. We're mostly going to talk about the part that covered cultivated meat.
Yeah.
But first, some of the findings are that 82% of the people that were surveyed And this is actually across multiple countries, but this was 82%, and it didn't really vary country to country, this statistic.
Yeah.
So 82% of people surveyed reported that they were concerned about climate change.
That makes sense.
Yeah. 69% were optimistic that scientific breakthroughs could improve access to nutritious foods, and 58% are optimistic that it can help solve the environmental challenges.
On the idea of cultivated meat specifically, 39% were positive, basically to the idea, receptive to it. 19% were negative, which is pretty low for something like that. Lower than I would have expected, honestly. And the majority were neutral.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. That's probably just because they don't know much about it yet. I need to know more is probably what they were thinking.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think there's also like a lot of misinformation, but then the opposite, there's a lot of like positive information. So it's like you probably are left with, I don't know what to make of this. So maybe that's why you're getting some neutrals.
So the conclusion of the study, and this is a direct quote, so I'm just going to read it here, is that, quote, cultivated meat stands out as the most emotionally charged food innovation examined in this study, provoking reactions ranging from ethical enthusiasm and curiosity to an immediate gut-level no. The technology creates a distinctive tension. Intellectually, many recognize its potential to reduce animal suffering and environmental harm, yet emotionally, something about meat grown through cell cultivation rather than traditional animal rearing creates deep unease, end quote.
I think it would create deep unease if people realized how animals were being raised in the first place.
Yeah. I think there's just a general stigma with things grown in a lab for some reason I don't understand, but I don't think it'll last very long.
Yeah,
I mean,
hopefully not.
And by that, I mean like 100 years from now, it probably won't be an issue. But we'll see.
So some more data that was kind of interesting. 35% of people surveyed from Germany and the U.S. specifically were reluctant to try cultivated meat compared to the global average of 26%. So almost 10% higher reluctancy from Germany and the U.S. Those were the countries that stood out as like most resistance.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. And then 17% had reluctance in China.
That's pretty low.
So it was like almost 10% lower in China.
Yeah, I wonder what causes that difference. It's interesting. They didn't get into that, I don't think, in the study, unfortunately.
Yeah, I almost wonder if it's because there's probably more plant-based eaters in China, maybe.
Just lower meat consumption in general.
So
makes
they're
them
kind
more
of
comfortable with
like,
it.
whatever.
That would probably make the most sense to me.
So they broke down the positivity to cultivated meat by generation, which was pretty interesting. So 27% positivity from boomers.
Okay, boomer.
Okay. 35% positivity from Gen X.
Okay.
48% positivity from millennials.
Okay.
And 46% positivity from Gen Z.
Yeah, this kind of continues the overall trend of Gen Z being less progressive in a lot of ways than millennials, just slightly in this.
Just like slightly less progressive from the millennials, but like still more progressive than Gen X and boomers.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was a little surprised that Gen Z wasn't the highest.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like it would be the highest, but
it seems like that's coming to fruition across a lot of different like segments of society.
Yeah, you see it with like, I don't know, politics in general. I'm starting to see like younger groups are going like harder conservative than like millennials, and I'm not really sure what's causing that.
Or at the very least, less progressive.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll have links to this study specifically and all these news articles in the show notes if you want to read more about them. They're pretty interesting. All right, so that's the news. Let's get into the main topic. So whether you've been vegan for a couple of weeks or a couple of decades, you probably noticed how veganism can sometimes feel a little lonely if you don't have vegan friends.
Yeah. I mean, existing as a vegan in a world that's literally made for omnivores, it's going to make you feel like an outsider and can actually lead to burnout, it's been proven.
Yeah.
Which isn't good because all of us vegans really want all the other vegans to stay vegan for life.
Yeah. I mean, even if you have an ethical belief in something, it still has to be, something that you can kind of mentally support.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there is a line for a lot of people. And if they feel like they're just constantly like isolated and berated and it's just way too difficult, then maybe even if they have ethical beliefs, they'll choose not to practice those beliefs.
Right. And maybe it leads to, you practicing them in private.
Right.
But maybe you become like a little more loose in public so that you just don't have to deal with like societal pressure anymore.
Yeah.
Do you have any examples of when you've like kind of felt a little lonely or like an outsider around omnivores or in general?
Yeah. I mean, I think it happens a little bit, at least every time you try to go out to eat with other people. Like I have to go to work things every once in a while. And it's always like, the place that's for dinner or lunch or whatever is kind of pre-selected. And I'm like, well, okay, I'm going to have to go look up this menu. There's probably not going to be anything. And then, if you do get a chance to bring it up, they don't really like understand, and you have to have a whole conversation.
Yeah.
So that definitely makes me feel a little isolated. And then I think so mostly just social situations. Other than that, I mean, it's still actually, even without social situations, it feels a little isolated, even when you're like looking for restaurants or like going to the grocery store and stuff, because it's just like this constant reminder that it's not really set up for you and your beliefs, which, is fine. It's the minority, but it is something that kind of constantly reminds you like, oh, it's different.
It's probably like it would be if you were left-handed and you were shopping in like, I don't know, what is like right hand specific? Scissors?
Baseball gloves?
Baseball gloves, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably get to you after a while. It's like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I just want a baseball glove.
Yeah.
I guess for me, when I've noticed it most, it's been at like work events that involve food, kind of like you said. But it's like, I've been forgotten about and there isn't vegan food. Now I'm like sitting there awkwardly, like physically doing something different than everyone else, whether that's like not eating because someone said there was going to be an option and then there wasn't an option, or I'm getting out my little lunchbox and like everyone's staring at what I'm doing. And then also, like, they're all eating animals, which I obviously have a moral objection to. So that's awkward in general.
Yeah.
But then, like, beyond that, there's also this, like, I think everyone feels awkward that I'm doing something different. So then some people will make jokes about veganism or say stupid shit like, oh, there's some, like, lettuce over there I use for my burger you can eat. It's like, as if that was, like, a suitable option for anyone to have for lunch.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know. You feel, like, physically left out because you're doing something different than everyone. But then you also feel like nobody understands you and also nobody gives a shit about you. Like, they didn't even bother to check and see, I guess. So, like, you're dodging jokes about veganism, which is something you believe really strongly in. And then you're watching your friends and coworkers eat dead animals, which sucks. And then I think, like, for me, that's when I feel most alone.
Yeah.
And honestly, it can be pretty exhausting, especially like at work situations where you have to be polite and like not become unprofessional, so like you kind of have to like just, I don't know, it feels like you're kind of placating people and not like being like, that's a stupid fucking joke, don't say it again.
Yeah.
You just have to be like, good one.
Yeah.
I
think there are a lot of things in an environment like that where you clash with other people's beliefs, and you just kind of have to bite your tongue just because it's not even worth the argument in some cases. So
I just think it's interesting because, like, if someone has religious convictions around eating pork, they're not getting the same treatment as, like, a vegan's getting because it's, like, viewed as, like, more of a choice.
Yeah.
But, yeah, for me, those are, like, my biggest pain points that I've experienced.
Yeah, definitely. Isn't it interesting how when you talk to people about veganism, they're very concerned nutrition experts, but then those same people also think that lettuce is a fine lunch?
I know. I think that's why they're concerned, because they literally don't know what they're talking about.
So some other common examples that probably everybody has experienced at least once, like we were talking about being the only vegan at work or like in the family or in a friend group. The social situation is really where it tends to highlight itself the most.
Yeah, or family dinners, unless you're lucky enough to have a vegan family or like an incredibly supportive family, you're either going to run into like your parents being like, well, we don't really know what to cook for you, or you almost feel like you're imposing a bit.
Yeah. Even if you do have a supportive family, you still feel a little bit of guilt because you made people do things differently. I don't know.
Yeah, they had to buy like specialty products to make whatever food they made that they don't normally have in the fridge.
Yeah. Also, birthday parties. Most of the time, there's not going to be a vegan cake or ice cream.
Yeah, you're going to be kind of like left out.
Or vegan pizza. Pizza parties, there's probably not going to be a vegan pizza.
Yeah. I would say cookouts for me are one of the big ones. Even if there are vegan options, me personally, I feel uncomfortable in any situation that is like literally revolving around meat. Like the whole reason we're here is for you guys to eat meat. And like a cookout's like one of the obvious options, but also, I don't know, like holidays, like Thanksgiving specifically, it's like the whole occasion is around the turkey.
Yeah.
And for me as a vegan, I just find that really uncomfortable.
Yeah, we're not typically going to cookouts that are entirely centered around the grilled corn on the cob.
Yeah. Even if there are options, it still feels uncomfortable.
Yeah. Also, dating. This might be where you realize just how much of a minority vegans are.
Yeah.
You might want to date a vegan, but it can be hard to find many vegans, especially near you.
Right. Yeah. I feel like in some cases, especially if the pool is very limited, you're either having to like sacrifice some other stuff you maybe don't like is not ideal about a partner to find a vegan one, or, maybe you're dating an omnivore in hopes that you can turn them vegan, which is what I did. Found my perfect omnivore, made him become a vegan. Doesn't work on all of them, guys.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, even if you do manage to date an omnivore, they could just kind of be an asshole about the whole thing. We see that on Reddit all the time and in other community conversations.
Especially if you were dating them before you went vegan. You don't really know if they're going to support that.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to think there's probably, I don't know, wherever you live, unless you're in the middle of a big city, there might be like 100 vegans around within 20 miles of you if you're lucky, maybe. I don't know what the numbers are.
Right.
But like now that's suddenly your dating pool. It's like the person I like most out of these people within 20 miles
7
of me.
people.
Yeah. So,
yeah, and obviously I haven't been on the dating app.
Yeah.
But there's like Vegly, but I haven't actually really heard anything good about it.
Yeah. If any of you have used that app, we'd love to hear how successful that has been.
I'll tell you what I would do if you left me.
Oh my God. How about if I died?
Okay, if you died. Well,
that's the only way I'm
That'd be really sad, actually. Okay, if you magically just disappeared and I forgot your existence, you'd have to be Thanos snapped out of existence. I think I'd use Happy Cow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can find people within like a certain distance of you, which is how I found somebody that I stalk on and see where she's eating. You know who you are. She has the best restaurant recommendations in Chicago. That's how I do it.
Yeah.
I would like set my perimeter and be like, where are these people eating?
leave it to a recipe creator to stock out potential future prospects on Happy Cow.
That's how I do it, for real.
Oh, there you go. There's a tip.
How would you do if I got Thanos snapped? Would you be leaving posts on vegan? Because I've been seeing those too.
Oh, I don't know. I think I'd just not bother. It sounds like way too much effort. Oh, man. Well, another one is maybe holidays. So just like the barbecue situation, the holidays typically revolve around eating animal products, like you were talking about turkey for Thanksgiving. But even most of the holidays,
Easter even.
Yeah, Easter's like
eggs
ham,
everywhere and ham. Yeah.
Anyway, most of them revolve around some sort of meat. There are usually a lot of different dishes at holidays, but maybe only a few you can actually eat.
Yeah. And then you're kind of like asking people to remake like classics that they've been making for decades.
Yeah.
That can be kind of awkward.
Yeah, definitely. And then even if you're not asking them to make it, you make a vegan version of something that they're like very emotionally attached to.
Yeah.
That can be pretty risky too.
Yeah. High stakes. Traveling's another one. Depending on where you're traveling to, the options might be like significantly worse than where you currently live and like the restaurants that you know. And you also wouldn't have access to like the same cooking equipment or even a kitchen like you would at home.
Unless you pack it all in the car.
Which sometimes we do that. That's what we were doing to Gatlinburg.
Yeah.
Which is why we decided to switch to traveling in Wisconsin. Because like the last time we went to Gatlinburg, we packed like the blender and a bunch of other shit.
Not only Gatlinburg, we went to Canada one time, and we basically had like a whole kitchen set up strapped to the top of the car, and we got like the whole border patrol inspection and stuff, and they're like, "What's in there?" We're like, "Kitchen equipment," and they give us this side eye, like, "Is it actually drugs? Like, what are you talking about?"
I was like, "There's a blender up there."
Yeah, they didn't end up searching it.
No, they didn't.
But yeah. A whole bunch of kitchen equipment.
You just don't know what your options are going to be,
No,
you know?
True. Yeah.
I need a blender for stuff.
And we did make good use of it in Canada.
We did, yeah. And in Gatlinburg.
At work, so sometimes just in general, you can feel a little isolated by like your coworkers just making comments, even if you're not necessarily eating with them. They still, if it comes up, there's this whole thing about like if somebody's vegan, wait 5 minutes and they'll tell you that I really only mention it if we're going to be eating together personally. Or we're talking about food specifically and like people are asking my opinion. I try not to just like randomly bring it up out of ether. But if it does come up, people usually have something to say about it. And it's usually like a little snipe, even if it's in good fun. And I get plenty of that and I'm cool with it. But there's always something there.
Oh, there's never not something.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, do you drink water? Because that's a fish's home. I got that one at work once.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is actually like, contrary to the wait 5 minutes that a vegan will tell you're a vegan, most vegans really actually hate talking about their veganism with people because it's never like very smooth conversation.
Like, especially at work where it's like, I can't get shitty at work. You know?
Yeah.
Like, they're going to be so rude to me, and I'm just going to have to sit here and, like, take it and fake a smile. I just don't want to have those.
Yeah. It's a lot like people bringing up politics at work.
It is, yeah. I'd say another one is, like, going to a restaurant where you can't eat anything. I mean, a lot of this happens if you're in a group and you don't get to pick the restaurant, but sometimes you end up somewhere where there's, like, truly not a vegan option, and it can be really frustrating to watch everyone else has, like, a whole menu with 4 different sheets worth of choices, and basically you're like, okay, let me find a salad. Okay, let me get the cheese removed, the croutons removed, the dressing removed. I will definitely just be eating a bowl of lettuce and some tomatoes.
Right. Yeah, trying to find the one thing on the menu with a little V next to it.
Yeah.
And you're just like, it's probably in the salad section.
And maybe there isn't even a V, and you have to, like, make your own really, really shitty thing. And you're like, oh, do you know if the potatoes are cooked in anything I can't eat? And they're like, we're not sure. Let me go check. And it's like, we do use butter for that.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I'll just take ice cube on a plate. Thank you.
But the fish, and they're home, babe.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I forgot about that. Coca-Cola on a plate. And then people asking you kind of the same questions over and over again, especially in large groups. Sometimes you feel like an alien that everybody's staring at. It's especially stressful when it's like you haven't really talked about veganism with a large group of people, and then one person that knows like asked you a question about it, and you're suddenly like, everybody's like, oh, you're a vegan? Blah, blah. And
they're locked in on you.
There's a lot.
It's always at lunches where you don't have choices, and they're like, so you're vegan. Tell me about that.
Yeah, now you're
While
giving a
everyone's
presentation.
eating meat, and you're like, is this the time to give a presentation on factory farming?
I'm going to have to start keeping a PowerPoint slide deck on my phone to break out in those kind of situations.
Let me hook up to the projector for a second.
They actually have some fancy phones that have a projector on them. I don't know if they make them anymore, but I've seen them in the past. So you can just like point it at the wall.
Perfect.
Let me tell you about my veganism.
Give me a second.
Yeah. So over time, all these things are things you might experience on a regular basis, and they can really kind of take an emotional toll on you.
Yeah.
So for some people, that feeling of like social isolation and that emotional toll can actually be too much, and they'll start adding animal products back just to fit in better, basically.
So there's actually some data on this, but before we dig into the data, I want to throw out that when I read through the data, it seemed like the term vegan might be used a little too broadly. Maybe to mean plant-based or just mostly vegan for the environment, etc. So I do think some of this data could be skewed as far as like when they're saying vegan, they don't necessarily mean vegan for animal ethics, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, that makes sense. So these findings specifically are from the Faunalytics study of current and former vegetarians and vegans. The data for this study was collected in 2014, so it's a little outdated, but it's pretty much the only study covering this topic. So let's talk about the numbers.
And we will list the studies in the show notes if you want to go poke around in them.
Yeah, definitely.
Here's some of the data. From this study, 84% of vegetarians and vegans abandon their diet. So vegetarian and vegan are lumped in together on a lot of these statistics, but 84% is a big number. 34% of lapsed vegans, vegetarians maintain their diets for 3 months or less. So that was one of the statistics that made me think like these probably aren't like legitimate vegans. Because would you say you were vegan or vegetarian if you only did it for like 2 weeks?
Right. And lapsed meaning they gave up the diet.
Yeah, within 3 months or less.
In this case, we're like, I was vegan for 2 weeks, and then I stopped being vegan. And now they get counted in the statistics of vegans that abandon their diet and lapsed vegans, which is like you said.
Yeah, I just don't think it's fair.
Yeah.
I think especially when you think vegan is a moral belief, right?
Right.
So I like to think of it as like, okay, would you say you were a Christian for 2 weeks if you just happened to go to church 2 Sundays in a row and then never thought about God for the rest of your life?
Yeah.
I don't think anyone would say, oh, yeah, I was a Christian for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's how it sounds to me when you say, I was a vegan for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'd be more interested to see a study like this, and maybe there never will be one, but I think the numbers would be a lot easier to make determinations based off of if there was a minimum threshold, like you had to be vegan or vegetarian for a year before these things count.
Exactly. So yeah, 34% of this number that lapsed said they maintained the diet for 3 months or less. So out of the people that did lapse, abandon their diets, 58% of former vegans and vegetarians cited health as their motivation for the diets. So there we go. It's probably more around like along the lines of plant-based.
Yeah, not necessarily an ethical motivation in the beginning.
Yeah. As a side note, these are the motivations cited by the current vegetarian and vegans that they did survey. So of the ones that kept with their diet, 69% cited health, 68% cited animal protection. These are the ones that stuck with it, so that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
63% cited feelings of disgust around meat and animal products. 59% said concern for environment. 52% said taste preferences.
Yeah. And keep in mind, a lot of those stats are combining vegans and vegetarians.
So 84% of the former vegetarians and vegans said that they were not actively involved in a vegetarian or vegan group, either online or in person. So they didn't really find their community.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's a high number. And like we were talking about, if you're the only one in your town or the only one you know, it's going to feel pretty isolating.
Especially if you're not that committed in the beginning. I think it can be really easy to fall off.
Definitely, yeah.
So 63% of former vegetarians and vegans said that they disliked that their diet made them stick out from the crowd.
Yeah, I guarantee it. Yeah.
Another thing with like isolation, like you just feel like the only person.
Yeah. And then 58% of former vegetarians and vegans said they did not see vegetarian or veganism as part of their identity.
Which I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like that leads me to believe some of them are more plant-based, because I feel like if you're morals-based, I think that kind of is part of your personality.
Yeah.
You know, just like it's part of your core beliefs.
Yeah, I agree. And then 37% of former vegetarians and vegans are interested in readopting their diet. 59% of those said they are very likely to do so with health being the main motivation.
I thought that one was really interesting. So like more than a third of former vegans and vegetarians are willing to readopt a plant-based diet.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like a lot of these former vegetarians or vegans felt like outcast. They didn't try to join communities or couldn't find communities. So they didn't really end up feeling seen, and they didn't even feel like it was part of their identity.
Right. Which makes it a lot harder to stick to, like you were saying. There's going to be a lack of options around you, so you got to get over that friction. And there's going to be kind of a lot of peer pressure from people just like questioning what you're doing.
Right.
Yeah. Another interesting piece is how many of the ex-vegans and vegetarians said they would do it again, which shows that you can win people over. Or you can win people back. So be nice to them.
Yeah. I think that is key. I was surprised it was 37%.
Yeah, it's pretty high.
I feel like, don't berate people, probably.
Right, because they're not going to come back for sure.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I've made the best decision ever. I'm done with this stuff.
I don't want to be around those people.
Yeah.
So Faunalytics published a qualitative study in 2023, bringing back former vegans and vegetarians, an obstacle analysis. So here's what that showed. Helping lapsed vegans or vegetarians resume their diet means making the diet as accessible as possible, providing them with motivational boosts, and providing practical support, which all can be done within some kind of a community.
Yeah, definitely. Dissatisfaction with vegan food is the most common struggle, so we have to share tasty recipes with them.
Yeah, that one for me is like, if you found your people, this wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
Like, you might have dissatisfaction with like the vegan or vegetarian options at a restaurant, but like if you found your people and you found good recipes, you could definitely make good food at home.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, food options are really the thing that everything hinges on when trying to get people to adopt even this, like the vegan lifestyle in general and like the ethical belief and stuff, because it's the biggest friction point and it's something people interact with like 3 times a day, basically on average.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Nobody wants to be miserable, right?
Yeah, right.
So access to vegan and vegetarian food options was still limited in 2020. And, this is still a problem. Mostly when you go to restaurants, or maybe if you're in smaller towns and communities where you just don't have good options in your grocery stores.
The cost of vegan food also often poses an obstacle to people's ability to pursue a vegan diet. This feels like a hurdle that we can overcome, though, by putting out better information and showing how cheap it can be to be vegan. I think a lot of people who are starting to go vegan go towards like the meat alternatives, and the processed products, and the pre-made, prepackaged things, which are more expensive, but that's not necessarily something you have to eat to be vegan.
Right. Yeah. And I think finding a community or finding, I don't know, like really recipe accounts you can follow would help you figure that out too.
Yeah. Some of the obstacles like the social struggles and accessibility challenges tend to co-occur. So overcoming one obstacle may improve other related issues.
Yeah.
And again, I think, figuring out the food thing makes a lot of other things fall into place much easier.
Oh, absolutely. The older you are when you go vegan or vegetarian, the better your experience tends to be.
That makes sense.
That makes sense because you can find people that support you versus like hoping that your family will support you.
I also feel like the older you get, the less you care about what other people think of you.
Oh, yeah, I definitely think that's true.
So, at this point, I'm like, maybe when I was 20, I would have been feeling bummed about people like saying things about me being a vegan or whatever. But now I'm just like, I don't care.
Yeah, I remember it was pretty weird when I went vegetarian as a kid. because I had actually so I basically moved from Ohio to Kentucky, and like when I was in Ohio, I was eating like animal products, and then like within maybe a year of moving to Kentucky, I went vegetarian. So like I remember writing to my Ohio friends and being like, I'm a vegetarian, and they were like, what the fuck? But like just I don't know, the reactions felt a lot bigger when you're like a kid and you're like trying to explain to people that you don't eat stuff, and
Right.
it's just definitely more awkward, and you just don't have as much like control of situations.
Yeah, for sure. Also, lapsed vegans eat fewer animal products overall, but those who eat the least tend to be older, have financial difficulties, and have been vegan rather than vegetarian. I think this is a good sign in general, and why it's important to encourage imperfect plant-based eaters and support them however we can.
Yeah. There's definitely a difference between saying, like, I don't want you to call yourself a vegan if you're going to be eating animal products.
Right.
But I am grateful that you have reduced how many animal products you're eating. Let me support you any way I can. Let me share recipes. Let me like bring you into a community where we can like help you out and answer questions.
Yeah. And again, we talked about it before, but kind of the reason for that is like if somebody calls themselves a vegan, but they're eating animal products, then those people are like, okay, vegans sometimes eat animal products. So then when vegans who obviously actual strict vegans who never eat animal products interact with those same people, they're like, oh, well, vegans sometimes eat animal products.
Yeah.
I don't really have to make any accommodation for you or ask. I don't even have to ask your opinion on where we're going to eat because you'll figure something out, or maybe you'll just eat animal products today.
Yeah. And I also think it takes visibility away from the actual reason vegans are vegan, which is animals.
Yeah.
It turns it more into like, oh, they're probably like vegan for their health.
Yeah, no, that's true. Like, because if you're occasionally willing to eat animals, you clearly don't have an ethical concern with animals. So it makes it very muddled.
So expecting people to use the right language isn't gatekeeping so much as it is making sure animals remain the focus.
Yeah.
Moving on from that.
Yeah.
So there was another study from the same people, Faunalytics. This is called the study of former vegetarians and vegans. It was qualitative findings from 2015.
They do a lot of studies around this, huh?
They do, and we've linked them all.
So in this study, former vegans and vegetarians were asked to give their primary reason that they stopped the diet. So this one's pretty specific. 32% of those were unsatisfied with the food. So this was by far the most common reason that people stopped the diet. They were unsatisfied with the food.
We can help that.
Yeah. 26% were for health reasons.
I think we can help with that a lot too. Just like having a community can support you figuring out like how to find foods that meet your nutrition needs.
Yeah, most of this is just learning how to eat a balanced diet as vegan or vegetarian, which is tricky if you've never done it before.
Yeah, if you're operating in a vacuum, it can be hard to figure this stuff out.
Yeah. And we talked about it a little bit before, just to opine on this a little bit, but a lot of that comes from like you make swaps as a vegan or vegetarian, but if you weren't really aware of nutrition, you don't actually know what the food you were eating before was giving you.
Right.
So then you swap it into something that's like a totally different set of nutritional, benefits, and you end up with gaps and you're missing things that you didn't really expect. Like going from dairy cheese to vegan cheese is a big one because dairy cheese has a lot of nutrients and proteins and stuff like that in it, whereas vegan cheese is mostly just oil a lot of the time.
Yeah, or dairy milk to almond milk, or like dairy yogurt to vegan yogurt.
Yeah, you obviously can still get all those nutrients on a vegan diet. You just have to incorporate more variety of foods.
Yeah, and it's a lot easier when you have people you can ask questions.
Yeah, definitely. So back to the primary reasons that the vegans and vegetarians stopped their diet. 13% is social issues, which, some of the isolation stuff we were talking about already. 13% inconvenience, which I totally get.
Yeah.
I wouldn't stop my diet over it, but I understand the frustration.
6% was cost.
Yeah.
Which I think some of that's a little education. Would go a long way for that.
Yeah. Another 6% was lack of motivation, which, is what it is.
Having a community might help you with that.
Yeah. And then 25% other. So a lot of other various reasons.
Yeah. And some people gave more than one reason, so that's why the numbers don't add up to 100.
Yeah.
But a lot of these reasons actually could be solved with better community, which is why we're doing this podcast. We can help people find food they like better. We can help them figure out how to eat a vegan diet healthily. We can help with the social issues, give them a place to vent, give them ideas on how to reduce their grocery bill, help them find motivation and stay accountable.
Yeah, a community helps with all of those things.
Yep.
Former vegans and vegetarians who said that they were interested in returning to their former diet were asked what they would need to do it. 45% of those said better, tastier, and more convenient food. almost half. That's all they would need to go back to the diet.
Fucking easy. We just need to teach them.
Yeah. 21% said motivation / incentive / dedication. So just like figuring out how to make themselves do it, basically.
Yeah.
17% said cost, which animal products are pretty expensive now. So maybe since this survey was taken, they feel a little differently about this. And then 13% health.
Yeah. Which a lot of these really come down to, which we need better information out there so that people can stay not eating animals.
Yeah. There's actually some research when it comes to maintaining habits when you surround yourself with people who are doing the same thing. So this is where the concept of like accountability buddies comes in. And this is pretty common in like the fitness crowd in general. You have like an accountability partner. You're like telling each other what you eat for the day, or you did your workout today or whatever. But this can also apply in, any kind of community where you're trying to stick to some idea that kind of goes against the grain.
Yeah. Like recovery programs like AA, that's a really good example of like where having that network can really help you stick to what you want to do, or even like religious groups, Yeah,
I think the most common example of this is church, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're having like reinforcement activities every Sunday.
Also, gaming communities are kind of like this. We'll have communities. It's mostly for like information and connecting to find people to play the game with, but it's still the same kind of thing. Like you're just more involved and committed and interested in something when you have a community of people that even you can just talk to about it. You don't even have to like participate in things, just to like bounce ideas off of people or get questions answered, things like that. All those things are really helpful.
Yeah, like you go to Friday Night Magic.
Yeah, exactly.
A good time for you to bond with people.
Yeah, we're all in like a chat group throughout the week, and then we're all like talking about what we're going to do Friday night.
This is how he's made friends.
Yeah. Yeah, so a community can mean a lot of different things for different people depending on what they need. Some people will get like, even in like the Discord groups or whatever I've seen, like there are some communities where it's like people are sitting in calls all day, like talking to each other and like watching TV together or whatever. Like they're constantly like very integrated. And then for some other people, it's just like, I just need a place where I can ask questions from time to time.
Right.
And both those are totally reasonable. And I think, a community can serve all those different needs.
Yeah. Or even someone who just wants to be in a community, like a Discord server or something, and just be able to like, maybe not even really participate, but like just watch the conversation, maybe like a couple things. Yeah. I think that's like totally reasonable.
Yeah, you just like see the chat light up every once in a while and you're like, oh, right, I'm part of this community. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty introverted, so in most places, that's how I act.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. But it is nice to be part of them.
Yeah.
Some people maybe just need like one close vegan friend or family member, although that can be pretty hard to find a lot of the time.
Yeah. I don't know. Basically just someone that you could call and text when something like shitty happens. Yeah. Someone who just at a base level understands you. Yeah. And I think this person, for some people, could be like in real life or virtual.
I think another benefit of kind of the online communities is that a lot of the times through the online community, you can find this like one or two people that you form like a direct connection with. I mean, a lot of these communities over the years have spawned like, marriages and all kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah, that's totally true.
People meet in communities like this and they get a closer connection between them that's more kind of aside and apart from that community connection in general.
Yeah, I think that's true. I even see it in our Discord. There are like some people that seem to like interact with one another back and forth a little bit more than others.
Yeah, which, that's just how it works. Right?
Yeah.
Other people prefer to just use social media as a way to connect with other vegans. So maybe it's not part of a dedicated community, but you're just like following vegans on Threads or Instagram or something like that.
Just feeling like you're staying part of the community.
Right. Instagram and TikTok both have a pretty large vegan presence. So if you create a vegan account, you can seek people out over time. The algorithm will eventually tweak to show you all the cool vegan things going on.
Yeah, I will say, so we're just going to give you some ideas on how you can use social media to connect with other vegans. So for Instagram and TikTok, now when we first created our account, I was trying to like kind of meet other vegans, and it was actually like a little bit hard because you kind of have to go out of your comfort zone and like post a bunch to even like find other people, or like you have to be commenting a lot to find other people.
It is kind of hard at the beginning to get it like set up to show you the stuff you're interested in.
Or even like connect one-on-one is
for sure.
Pretty challenging, I would say.
That's very tricky.
There are some like vegan follow back posts that people will comment on and be like, I'm open to like following other vegans back so they can build friendships and stuff. So like that might be a good way to do it. But yeah, I just think in general, like if you're looking for like a specific person who you can build a back and forth with, I think Instagram and TikTok can be a little tricky unless you're like posting regularly and interacting in a lot of comment sections.
Yeah. I think it's a good place to have access to like vegan recipes and vegan news and stuff like that, but not a great place for like one-on-one connection.
Yeah. And then what I will say about Instagram and TikTok and actually just like Facebook as a general thing is there are a lot of trolls. And there are a lot of trolls in vegan spaces. So like if that's something that's going to stress you out, maybe that's not like the right place you want to be hanging out because it can be a little annoying.
That is one of the benefits to like a dedicated community, like maybe a subreddit or a Discord, is that the trolls can be dealt with a lot more easily than they can on like a public Instagram post or something. Right. There are also Facebook groups, which are really one of the more common forms of a community.
Yeah.
And I think people move away from it a little more now since Facebook doesn't get used as much in the same ways, but there are still huge Facebook groups out there.
Yeah, and there are a lot of vegan ones.
Yeah.
They're usually private, which means that they do a pretty good job of keeping trolls out, and sometimes they'll even have like questions you have to answer, like answer my questions 3 before you can come in.
Yeah. Good places to share recipes and stuff. You're still just kind of commenting on posts or making posts, so it's a little more challenging to have conversations. But this is a good option if you already have a Facebook and you just want recipes to be in a community that reminds you that being vegan isn't a weird thing.
Yeah.
The one caveat with Facebook is you do have to use your real name and your real face, so a lot of people don't really like that.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Like Instagram, there's a bit more anonymity.
Yeah.
And so same with TikTok, but Facebook's, kind of weird.
Yeah.
Reddit is another good place, I think, especially to like ask questions, get good information. There's a ton of vegan subreddits, and there are lots of people there all the time, so you get answers pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah, all the time. The downside is some of the vegans on Reddit can be pretty like stern or off-putting or very like absolutist about veganism. May not be the best place for a new vegan or someone who doesn't want to be around negativity.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah. Just because, we've seen a couple where you like come in asking a question, you're kind of like, what do I do? And then you just get blasted, which isn't super helpful.
Yeah. And, I will like say for vegans in general, I think we're a little maybe sensitive because there are just so many trolls.
Very, very defensive and on guard.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard not to be because it's like you can't really tell an earnest question from like a baiting question, but yeah.
For sure. Until you answer it. And then,
and then you find out.
Yeah.
In general, though, there are a lot of very kind and helpful vegans on Reddit. We use it a ton.
Yeah.
I've interacted with like a ton of super, super, super nice people. And I think coming across people that are like a little less nice is a lot more rare than coming across helpful and kind people.
Yeah. Some of our favorite subreddits on Reddit are vegan fitness. That's one we're in quite a bit. Eat cheap and vegan.
Yeah.
There's also vegan recipes.
Shitty vegan food porn has a lot of nice people.
Yeah.
They're like a lot more relaxed. Vegan chill is pretty nice, but there's a lot of trolls in there.
Yeah, there are
a lot.
So, and the way, if you're not familiar with Reddit, the way it works is like each subreddit is its own community and it has its own rules based off of like normal users who are promoted to be the moderators and they run the community.
Yeah.
So there's no there are some platform-wide rules around like really bad stuff, but just general trolling and discourse is mostly managed per community.
The moderator.
So Vegan Chill doesn't actually have any rules.
Yeah. So you get a lot of trolls. Vegan for Beginners is another good one. People share like simple recipes. I actually mod that one.
Yeah.
Co-mod that one. Like a secondary mod.
And then we actually have 2 subreddits of our own, the Protein Deficient Vegan subreddit and the Deficient Vegans subreddit.
Yeah.
And we'll put links to all these subreddits in the show notes as well.
Yeah. We don't really get a lot of posts in our Deficient Vegans one or the Protein Deficient Vegan one, but just so anyone listening knows, you can post in there.
Yeah, for sure.
We would like you to post in there. Once again, though, this is more of like a comment and post format, so it's not super conducive to making like actual one-on-one friends or like a place where you could have random conversations.
Yeah. There's also YouTube, a great place to learn a lot about veganism and vegan recipes in general. Probably the worst place to socialize.
Yeah, I would say so.
They did just add, I guess we're in the process of adding direct messages, which still feels super weird on YouTube.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's more of definitely like I'm watching TV, but I can also comment and like.
Yeah. And I will say because for me, because like YouTube is so not social, I check my comments like a lot less. So like, sorry about that. If you comment on a video, I probably see it like 4 days later.
Yeah. The big one, and we have a community here is Discord. So Discord is basically a platform that you can build communities on that are focused around chat and like voice calls and stuff like that, but mainly chat. So we have a vegan Discord called the Deficient Vegans Discord. It's down in the show notes, so we're a little partial to this option. But I feel like it's the best format to actually talk to other vegans, share struggles, and just connect in general.
Yeah.
Like we have a bunch of different channels for different topics. You can like break those off into threads and have conversations about some specific thing. You can direct message people. You can like, if you are really social, you can jump in a voice call with a couple people.
Yeah.
Like you can do a lot.
I've seen people like, even in Discords that aren't specifically for gaming, they'll like create a little side channel for people that play the same game. And if you're in our Discord and you want us to do that, we're happy to do that.
Yeah.
Also happy to add other channels. Like right now we kind of have recipes and food, fitness and nutrition. We have an accountability channel, struggles, wins, books, hobbies and crafts. Or we also have like a music, movies, TV channel. And then we are running a book club right now, which is kind of fun because there's a lot, I think, more interaction in that one.
Yeah.
And we're all working through the same book, which feels like really good community building.
Yeah.
And we'll probably add some more stuff. If you are in our Discord or want to be in our Discord and have ideas for like ways we can make it feel more like a community and a space you want to be in, let us know.
Yeah, definitely. Also, it's free, which is a big one. There are several vegan communities out there that you have to pay to have access to.
Yeah, I've been seeing that a lot more and more. It's like, I don't know. I'm not going to comment on like how anyone wants to make money, but for me, I'd feel kind of bad trying to make money off of people that just really want like a place to interact with other vegans.
Yeah, I mean, especially if it's not linked to like a specific thing that you're buying, like a course or like some coaching or something like that.
Yeah.
It's a little awkward to just pay to be in a community.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like a fraternity or something.
Right, yeah. Yeah, you don't have to pay for ours.
Another thing with Discord is you might be able to find one that's like a local vegan community to you. So like around here, there's actually a Chicago vegan Discord. But I think a lot of, the bigger cities with like bigger vegan, populations in the country or maybe even across the world have like a vegan server that is specific to that region. So maybe you can make some friends in real life.
Yeah, the thing I like about Discord is like you're not like posting like you would on like other social medias. You're just kind of like saying a random thought or like people are having multiple conversations on the same channel about different things.
It's kind of a big group chat.
Yeah. Yeah. But like, I think kind of the cool thing is you can kind of pick out people that you vibe with. Like in another Discord we were in, like I found a girl that I vibed with really well and like we ended up DMing each other.
Yeah.
Like we had other stuff in common. So like we liked the same books and stuff. So
yeah, that happens all the time.
Yeah. It's like a good place to actually make like real friends. You kind of get to like test the waters by like a group chat. And then you're like, ooh, that person's my vibe. And then you can go DM them privately if you want.
Yeah, there you go.
And have like a little person that you're just friends with.
Yep. Other people might do better with like in-person local vegan communities. This can be kind of challenging though if you live in a small town or like a not very vegan-friendly town. It can be pretty hard to find other vegans. Some cities do have the vegan Discords like we were talking about. Maybe you could do like you were talking about, like stalk people on Happy Cow in your town. That might be.
I think that's a great way to do it, honestly.
Can you message people on Happy Cow?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. Maybe you find somebody who's like going to all the vegan restaurants around you and you're like, hey.
No, I don't know any of these people, but I know who eats around us.
That's funny.
I like recognize their name. I'm like, oh yeah, Rosie. I don't know who Rosie is, but I know she eats near us.
Yeah. Yeah. And not just Discord. There are a lot of like Facebook groups and subreddits and stuff like this for like regional, local vegan communities. So you could check those out. I would probably start there. Even if you do want to make friends in person, that's probably the way to find them. And then
it's probably the easiest way to go find them.
Yeah. If you can't find your people, you might go check with like vegan businesses near you to see if they know of any community groups or maybe just make friends with the business owners.
Yeah.
I think a lot of them, if there is a vegan group around you, they're probably familiar with them like coming in as a group and they'll probably be able to point you in the right direction or something. Or like tell you their name next time they see them. I don't know, something like that.
Give them my business card, please.
Right. You can also check...
friend card. Will you be my friend?
We need to make those. You can also check out nearby animal sanctuaries or volunteer at pet shelters. Maybe you'll find some vegans there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then once you have found your local vegan community, if you want an in-person one, you can have like meetups and potlucks, do group visits to an animal shelter. You could host volunteer events like a vegan food kitchen.
Yeah.
Participate in activism together, check out vegan restaurants together, maybe have like an in-person book club, cooking club, movie nights,
Knitting
whatever.
club.
Knitting club.
Some people may not need any of this actively talking to other vegans, but it can still feel good to exist.
Yeah.
Even passively in the vegan spaces, like you talked about. Maybe we just like monitor. You should like watch all the people be vegan.
You just want to be in the presence of a vegan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily need to interact to feel like you're part of a community.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm kind of one of those people.
A lurker. We call it a lurker in internet terms.
I kind of feel like I am like a bit of a lurker.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we have ours and I participate in it, but like in general, like that I am a bit of I'm a bit of a lurker.
Yeah. If you are a lurker, some of the things you could do is listen to vegan podcasts, watch vegan YouTube videos, follow vegan creators, make sure you're seeing vegan content when you're scrolling in social media and not whatever else. And reading vegan books is a good way too.
If you want like real life vegan friends, I actually think that can be a lot harder to do, especially if like you're not in school anymore.
Yeah, I think honestly just making friends as an adult is kind of hard in general, especially if you're introverted.
I did find some ideas. So like aside from the other ideas we found about like finding like a community, if you're just looking for like one person, maybe you don't want to be part of like a large community of 20 people or something.
Yeah.
But you could do some volunteering. There's like a veganwork.com/volunteer and they had volunteer opportunities. Mm-hmm. You'd probably find vegans there.
Yeah, you can attend like vegan festivals. Like if you go to AmericanVegan.org/VegFest, there's that. There's also Happy Cow on their website. They have an events section that has vegan events.
And they have a ton of events.
Yeah.
So you should probably maybe find one in your area or maybe even like a couple hours away. It wouldn't be a bad thing to find a friend that was like a couple hours away.
You could maybe go to a vegan dale and find a friend while you're standing in line for 4 hours.
Wondering what the fuck Elwood's dog food is. Having to Google it to see if they're actually using dog. They're not, by the way.
Don't give up. Spoiler. That's a spoiler.
Sorry. Spoiler alert.
You got to dig for that information. It's part of the experience.
Shock. The shock.
All right. You can also take a vegan or plant-based cooking class if you can find one. And sometimes the vegan restaurants around you will know information about this, or maybe even they'll be hosting them. So
yeah. You go to local vegan restaurants.
Yeah.
I don't know how you're going to approach people. I'm really awkward, so I probably never would.
I would recommend you just sit in there all day, open to close, every day until you find somebody that comes in and eats alone, and then you go sit with them.
Go sit with them?
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll just randomly poke people and be like, I like your tattoos. And then they'll be like, thanks. And then I'll walk away.
You're doing great, babe.
It doesn't work. I don't know how to make friends as a grown-up.
Also, like we said, you can join like vegan Discord servers, vegan Facebook groups, pick your one friend that you vibe with, and then get the hell out of the group.
Yeah.
You can do that if you want.
You can do that.
Yeah.
You could attend vegan conferences.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you might get lucky and find a vegan follow back post on Instagram, and maybe you find like a person that you connect with. Option number 12 or whatever number we're on, you can convert all your existing friends to vegans.
You might lose some along the
way. Whatever. For the greater good.
I do think it's worth mentioning that if you surround yourself only with vegans, it can become kind of an echo chamber, and you might lose touch with how you thought about things before you were vegan or challenges that you faced when you were going vegan. So if you're interested in outreach, helping others move towards veganism, it's kind of important to stay grounded and kind so you don't scare them away from veganism.
Yeah.
I feel like there are a lot of vegans that talk like they were vegan since the day they were born.
Yeah.
And maybe they've only been vegan for like a year or two. And, it's just, you have to remember that like you used to think a lot of those same things before you were vegan.
Yeah.
So why are you being so hard on these people?
I see a lot of that in like vegan spaces about vegetarians. And as someone who was a vegetarian for a stupidly long time,
yeah,
I have like a very big soft spot for vegetarians just because like I know from personal experience, like you can convert them.
Yeah.
So like be nice to them.
Yeah, definitely. Similarly, it's worth mentioning that especially when you're in a larger vegan community, it's important to avoid like perfectionism and gatekeeping culture. It's not to say that you like let people post their chicken dinner in the community because they only eat chicken once a week or something.
Yeah.
But it should be a safe space for vegans to exist in a vegan space. But it's also worth remembering that everyone is at different parts of their vegan journey, and people who are newer into veganism are often the ones who need the community the most.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're still like making mistakes and trying to figure it out.
Right. If someone's like, oh shit, like I accidentally bought this thing with dairy, like definitely don't browbeat them and be like, you should have read the ingredients. Be like, oh my God, I did that when I first went vegan and I felt so bad. Like, don't, just like try to look better next time.
Yeah. I mean, making them feel like they're not good enough can be really demoralizing when they're actively trying, and it can make them feel unwelcome.
Right. I think that's like a big one in general. It's like we all want to do the very best we can, but we should give people grace if they're trying.
Yeah. I think a lot of this comes down to, do you need an in-person friendship, or is an online community enough for you?
How about you? How do you personally feel?
So for me, I've been in online communities since like the dial-up internet days because I'm a little computer nerd. So I find those very natural and comfortable personally. It's also a little easier to stay in contact with an online community because it's more asynchronous. Like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
don't have to like find time in each other's calendars or like figure out when you're both available to go do a thing or like we'll travel together out of town or something like that. You just like say something and then the person replies back or the community replies back at some point.
Yeah.
So for me, that's like much more natural than trying to make in-person friends. I've never been like super good at that. I mean, I do have some, obviously.
Yeah.
But I've just, it's been a lot easier for me to be involved in online communities. And that's really, like, I don't need a lot of in-person friends. I have a couple of in-person friends who I've had, a long time, and, I'm good. But I do like meeting new people online.
Yeah. No, I think I'm kind of the same. I think it's like, because I moved when I was young and like had to keep in touch, like emailing and writing people, like that were my friends in my other state that I lived in. And then like I moved away for college, and then I left college and went to different co-ops, and then I like went to a different state for a job and went to another state for a job. And it's just like any friends that I've made in any of those various places end up kind of being like, we're texting friends and maybe I'll see you once every 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And I don't know. That's enough for me. I'm pretty introverted, so online stuff's pretty much fine for me.
Yeah.
Plus, like, I have you like, you're
Right.
vegan and I have you, so I can like kind of rant to you. I think if I didn't have you, that would kind of suck.
Yeah, we get to rant to each other a lot. It helps.
Yeah. Though I will say, I was a vegetarian for a really long time without like any community. And I mean, I stuck to it, so I guess I was fine.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, now I didn't really feel like this until our Discord, just because I think all the other places online, I kind of feel a little guarded of like trying to say just the right thing so I don't make people pissed or something. But like, I feel like in our Discord, it's like the first time I can just kind of like say whatever stupid things on my brain without like a filter kind of.
Yeah.
And it's like a nice place because it's like, I know there aren't trolls there. So I'm just like, I don't have to worry about being attacked by like random anti-vegans and stuff.
Yeah, it is a troll-free zone.
Yeah, which is honestly nice because I post on a lot of different platforms and I get a lot of trolls, and it's honestly like really exhausting.
It's so far anyway. I mean, we plan to aggressively deal with any trolls that happen to show up on Dave. We'll see.
Yeah, so I guess for me, online friendships is totally my vibe.
Cool. So maybe you don't feel like you're missing out on any community, or you don't feel like regular vegan community is something that you even need. It could be still helpful when you're struggling, and I think it's just worth keeping in mind if you are. Vegans in general are like really caring and supportive, and they want people to join the cause.
Yeah.
So most of them are going to do everything they can to help you, make that transition or figure out, how to make it fit into your life. And we just want to see each other succeed. So if you're struggling or like doubting yourself, or maybe you're getting a lot of pressure or guilt trips from your family, it can be really nice to have a place to vent, even if it is just an online community.
Yeah. Or even if you're just doing a Reddit post and you want a few people to tell you that they get it or they've had a similar experience and it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
I think that's important. If you're struggling as a vegan or even a vegetarian, I think, finding people that you can at least vent to that will understand is helpful.
Yeah. Some things I've actually seen on Reddit a lot are vegans having like a health scare or like a new allergy and trying to work through what they can eat. Now, obviously, you should go to your doctor for a lot of those things, and people will recommend most of the time that you go to a doctor. But it is a great thing about having a large community like Reddit or Discord, even like Facebook groups, is that somebody will probably be able to offer some advice. Like, hey, I also went through that. Go to your doctor, but here's like probably what they're going to say. Or here's probably like what you might need to think about.
Or I see people that are like, oh shit, I developed a soy allergy. Like, I have no idea what to eat. Like,
that one's easy. We just say, here's all the stuff you can eat without soy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So there's definitely a lot of advice for that kind of thing. Just like navigating tricky situations.
Yeah. I've also seen a lot of posts where someone accidentally will eat an animal product and then they feel really, really bad about it. Or like maybe they accidentally hit an animal while they were driving and they feel really horrible about it. And it's like, just having that like incredible guilty feeling, having a vegan community that can help you through that is helpful.
There are actually a lot of posts like that in the vegan subreddit where it's like, for one reason or another, like I accidentally ate some food and now I feel really bad. And that's, it seems like they get a lot of support when
Yeah.
they make a post like that. Another big one is just general fatigue. Like you can have burnout just like you do at a job, because a lot of us spend time trying to educate, or honestly just like answering the same random questions over and over again, just like we do at work, which can cause a little bit of burnout. There's also activism fatigue, and depending on what kind of activism you're doing, it can feel pretty draining emotionally and mentally.
Yeah. And compassion fatigue is actually a real one too. If you're like, most of us are people who care very deeply about animals, and you're living in a world that like exploits them constantly in all kinds of horrible ways. So it can be very overwhelming. Like just even going to the grocery store and having to walk through the meat section to get where you're going can be like a little sucky. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's helpful to have other vegans that can help you work through some of those feelings, maybe have like some tips on how to work through that.
Yeah. Having support systems in general can really help change your experience of being a vegan.
Yeah.
I think community is also super important for new vegans because you're still trying to figure everything out. There are a lot of little things that maybe you have questions about, or you're like, do not understand, like, where do I find shoes? Or like, how do I get clothes? Like, these things have animal products? Who knew? Like, the toilet paper has gelatin, which I guess toilet paper vegan? I don't know.
Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff you have to learn.
Yeah.
But you don't need to do it alone, and you should be relying on people that have already done it before you.
Yeah, and ask questions. You should be able to find at least one community where you can feel pretty free to ask questions and not get harassed about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes when you've been vegan for a while, it's not as obvious why you would need a community, because you figured out the diet, you already know what to buy, what not to buy, and your personal reason for being vegan is already very solid, and you just don't really need information anymore.
Yeah, this one's interesting because I posted the book club on my socials, and I had a couple people on TikTok basically say, I've been vegan for, some of them were, I think it was like 15 to 20 years. I had a couple people say this, but they were like, I actually, don't go out of my way to read vegan stuff anymore. I don't like really go out of my way to interact with vegans anymore, because I've just kind of reached this part of like, I'm staying vegan, but I'm kind of fatigued on all of that. But I'm really glad to see, vegans are out there doing book clubs and trying to like spread it.
Yeah. I think community can still help, because just being able to talk to people who share your values is valuable. Like being able to find and share new recipes with people who are interested is nice. And I mean, this is pretty common with anything. If you have interests, like, I have interests like 3D printing or cars or computers, like I'm in some form of community for most of those things. And it's like, I still learn things from time to time, but like a lot of the stuff that gets talked about in those communities is stuff I've known for 20 years. So it's not like I'm constantly needing the reassurance. It's just like, I like cars, and I'm in this like community, people talking about cars. It's cool. It's interesting.
Right. Yeah. And like we talked about before, even if you're just like someone who wants to observe stuff, I mean, obviously their algorithm is attuned to veganism or they wouldn't have seen my post, right?
Yeah.
So it seems like they're probably still like at least getting vegan reels and stuff, and maybe they're looking at recipes. So that's cool.
Yeah, definitely. So if you are looking for a vegan community and you don't know where to find one, I would suggest starting with our Deficient Vegans Discord server.
Yes, we might be a little biased, but there's like a ton of really nice, very helpful and kind people. Lots of different channels, lots of different interests.
Yeah. The link is down in the show notes.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of food and tasty recipes shared pretty regularly. And, we talked about here, some of these surveys have shown that the food is the number one hurdle, and getting people back in, like finding tasty food is the number one thing. So if that's something you're looking for, we've got a whole lot of that.
Yeah.
We also have the vegan book club going on right now. Looking into starting up some more clubs, like potentially a movie club, maybe a recipe club, where we'll kind of make a recipe and see how it goes. Yeah.
Still working out some of the logistics there, but trying to make it more of like a shared community space where people really interact with each other.
Yeah. So we'd love to have you there. And if you have any suggestions on what would make the community even better, we'd love to hear those too. We'd also like to hear in the comments how you guys have made personal vegan friends or found a vegan community.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of ways to go about it.
Yes.
We'd love to hear some success stories, so maybe other people can follow suit.
Tell us how you found your vegan best friend.
Okay. So I am a personal trainer, and I did an Ask Me Anything a while back on Reddit. I had a bunch of questions come in. So we have a segment called Bite Size Coaching now, where I answer like a question that came in to me either through the AMA or maybe through some personal interactions with clients or people in the community or whatever.
And I get to ask him the question.
All right. What's the question?
Okay. What would you recommend for someone who wants to lose weight but has very little time to spend working out or cooking?
Yeah. Well, if you're just trying to lose weight, the good news is you don't really need to spend any extra time at all. 90% of weight management specifically happens in the kitchen. The best thing you could do is get a kitchen scale and a calorie tracking app and track everything you eat so you can get yourself into a calorie deficit to slowly lose weight. If you've never tracked before, it's a little tedious at first, but once you get the hang of it, it literally just takes a couple of seconds each time you eat, and is even faster if you tend to eat the same things on rotation because they'll be like in the history of the app. So you just open it, you're like, yes, I ate my protein oatmeal thing that I make every morning, and it takes literally a second.
Yeah, like you can get in a lot of the apps, you can create recipes or meals.
Right.
And then you can just go through your recipe list and click, 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 click.
Yeah.
And if you use protein deficient vegan recipes, you can just go find them because I put them all in there.
Yeah, they're all in MyFitnessPal specifically. So if you use the other apps, you can't do that. So you have to use MyFitnessPal.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
They don't have that.
Yeah. And I will say that's just for weight specifically. Like there's also like, how are you going to look when you get down to your goal weight? That's kind of where you start thinking about, okay, I do want to be in the gym, build a little bit of muscle, things like that. But if your number one goal is just losing weight, it's basically entirely a kitchen problem.
Which I feel like is good and bad.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Like, it's like, oh, okay. But also, I didn't want you to tell me that.
That's always the answer.
Yeah.
I remember I had a cousin once, like a long time ago when I lost a bunch of weight, and they were basically like, oh, what did you do to lose that? And I was like, we were at a family reunion or something. I was eating a piece of pie, and I was basically like, I don't eat stuff like this very much. And they were like, that is not what I wanted to hear, and walked away.
The worst thing you could have said to me. And then they smacked you in the face.
Yeah, so it is what it is. I can't help how the math works. So now I want to do my favorite part where you read us some of the very mean things that people said to you on social media this week. Do you have anything this week?
I have a lot.
Okay.
But I'm going to go on a rant for a second.
Oh, okay. Let's hear that.
Okay. So I posted my high protein Rice Krispie treats.
Oh, I like those. Everybody likes those, actually.
That use edamame puffs.
Yeah.
And it did pretty well.
Yeah.
But when a post does well now, for some reason, everybody tags a man in my comment section named Liam.
Who the hell is Liam?
I guess he's some large content creator that talks about beans.
Okay.
If you're doing that, I don't like it. I worked really hard on that post, and now it's all about fucking Liam.
We have to know this random man on the internet likes your recipe.
They're like, I'm a little skeptical. Liam, can you tell me if this is good? And then they're like, I don't know where to find this product. Liam, could you help me?
Liam is Google.
Liam?
I thought it was called Google, but it's actually called Liam.
Why is Liam's opinion more important than my opinion?
Is Liam a vegan? Do you know?
No, he's not even a vegan.
Interesting.
Stop tagging this man. So yeah, that's my mean comment of the week because I got like 100 of them. There are like 100 Liam tags.
Yeah. Liam will never answer your prayers, people.
He might.
Yeah.
We don't know. I also feel like that's a catch-22. What if he doesn't like it? Then he just blasts me? I don't know.
No. Liam can be wrong.
Liam could be wrong. You should still make them.
Is Liam infallible, you think?
People seem to think so.
Interesting.
What I want to know is...
No disrespect. I have no idea who Liam is.
I'm sure Liam's great.
It's not his fault they're tagging him, probably. Well, he probably asked people to, I guess. But, still. He can't control what they comment on.
I just think it's interesting that I have a video that finally does really well, and it just becomes about Liam. And that's why it's mean. Anyways, I'm sure Liam is great. Stop tagging him.
All right.
So that's that.
Okay, we've got a few updates this week.
I also had people tell me that soy is bad.
No, yeah, I'm seeing that a lot this week.
I got
even on my stuff.
So many people being like, soy lowers testosterone. Just thought everyone should know. Soy does this, soy does that, soy doesn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like at this point, the trolls are just like a Google away from getting their answer that they so desperately want, I guess.
They don't care about evidence.
Yeah, these aren't even things. So like soy lowers testosterone. That's just not a thing. That's
not
never
even
been
true.
A thing. That's never even been like the thing people don't like soy for.
I know, and they just say it like, okay, so this, I had to block her because she was really annoying me, but she said that soy lowers testosterone, just thought everyone should know. And I said, there's extensive research and studies that show this isn't true. Then I linked one, and I said, feel free to share your sources. And then she got really mean with me.
You can't be asking people for facts.
Well, I did call her a conspiracy theorist and told her to take her nonsense elsewhere. So you can't trust me anywhere. I don't have a filter.
Yeah.
So anyways,
that's true. I can't take you anywhere.
But then she said, let me tell you something. Basically, almost all conspiracy theories are true. So that's not really, like, she was basically like, you can call me a conspiracy theorist, but that's not a negative for me because all conspiracy theories have proven to be true.
I can't argue with that.
So there's that.
All right. On that note, a couple of the updates we have for this week. Our Discord is going strong. We're up to 210 people now. So going well there. If you want to join, again, it's down in the show notes. Also, the first week of the book club was this week, and I think it's going pretty well.
I think so too.
Yeah, we've had several discussion questions, good conversation. Yeah.
Still time to join if you want to join, because we're basically we broke the book up into 4 sections, and we're doing one section each week for 4 weeks. So we haven't even finished the first section yet. So there's definitely still time to catch up. Plus we're breaking the sections apart so you don't end up with spoilers.
Right. And all the discussion questions we're putting in, we're pinning in our channel for it. So even if you join late, you can go back through the pinned messages and reply to everything if you want. There's no time limit on it or anything, really.
And we love that.
Also, we appreciate you guys listening. If you're listening on Apple Podcast or Spotify, if you could leave us a rating and review, that helps us out a lot. If you're listening on Spotify or YouTube, you can also leave us a comment. That's really cool, and we love replying to those. You can also see down in the show notes, we have our websites for Protein Deficient Vegan and Muscle Deficient Vegan, as well as the website for the podcast, which has a couple of blog posts we've been posting about like some of the main topics here and just kind of general veganism stuff. Right?
Yeah, that's kind of shareable. We also have our social medias where we're kind of sharing carousels of the content we talk about on the podcast, which I think is kind of like useful if you want to share this information with someone. You don't want to make them listen to the podcast.
Yeah. Little bite-sized chunks of some of the stuff we're talking about. Maybe it'll get them interested. All right. Well, I think that's it. Do you want to say bye?
Bye.
Bye, everybody.